Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick. Today I'm going to this will be kind of our last episode, kind of looking back at 2021, but today I'm going to talk about my favorite reissues of last year. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click on that link down below and go check out the Vinyl Den Facebook group. It's a cool place to continue the music conversation. There's also a couple other links down there. There's one for the Vinyl Den merch page where we get t-shirts and sweatshirts on there. There's a link for the Vinyl Den Patreon page. If you want to support the show, it's always greatly appreciated. There's also a link for the Vinyl Den Spotify playlist where we're kind of updating the playlist every week with music that we're talking about on the show. Just another way to kind of interact with the vinyl community out there. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give it the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So I talked quite a bit about how I thought 2021 was just a fantastic year for music. Not only new music, because there was a bunch of great new releases that came out, it was also a great year for reissues. There were some reissues that came out last year that I never thought I would get a chance to own until they reissued them. So I got about a dozen of them I'm going to go through. Some of them kind of burn through pretty quick. But the first one, this is kind of cheating, I guess, with the very first one, it's a box set. This is a band that only released 3 albums. Only one of them was ever actually available on vinyl. The other 2 albums, this is the first time that they were available. But this is Bad Astronaut. Their box set's called Universe. It's got all 3 of their albums, and I've loved all 3 of these albums. They're absolutely great albums. If you haven't checked out Bad Astronaut, they're a band that was they were around in the early 2000s. They were a side project of the pop punk band Lagwagon. But this is Bad Astronaut was much more of a rock kind of band than some of the stuff that they did with Lagwagon. So if you aren't familiar with it, definitely check out all 3 of their albums, because all 3 of them are just absolutely fantastic. All right, so I swear the last 10 are all just like straightforward reissues. The first one here is an album that when it was last reissued a couple of years ago, I thought the album sounded fantastic, but I thought they did a pretty poor job with the packaging. I think there was a lot of things that they could have done to kind of mimic the original releases that would have made it a better overall album. And with the reissue that came out in 2021, they fixed all the problems I had with it. And that, of course, is School Is Out by Alice Cooper. When this was reissued a couple of years back, it was just a plain jacket. So when Friday Music redid it last year, they incorporated the original design of the jacket where it opens up like the desk. It's got of course, the paintings that come with it. You know, it's the kind of the small touches. Obviously, the album sounds fantastic, which is, of course, what it's all about when it comes to when we talk about vinyl records. But you know, I think the packaging overall was a big upgrade over the last reissue that came out a couple years back. The next 2 are both albums that were part of the Fueled by Ramen 25th anniversary releases that they were doing last year. And they're both albums that had long been out of print and were really hard to find. The first one is Fun by Some Nights. Just another great album. And it's it's one that had gotten really expensive if you were trying to buy an older pressing of it. So it was a really great. I was really happy to see when they announced this. And of course, all the Fueled by Ramen stuff was all released on that silver vinyl. The other one was one that I was really kind of surprised. So Fueled by Ramen was kind of going back and picking some of their popular albums that, like I said, were kind of hard to get out of their catalog. And I was really kind of surprised to see the Gym Class Heroes as Cruel as School Children. It's a great album if you haven't heard it. I know there's a couple of big hits they had off of this. But it's an album that if you're not familiar with it, make sure you check it out, because from beginning to end, it is a really great album. And I think there's some other tracks on here that surprise you with how good they are. As a jazz fan, I could have picked any number of jazz reissues that came out last year. The 2 big lines for me were the Blue Note Tone Poet and Classic Series. Multiple releases came out last year from both of those that were just absolutely fantastic. I think my favorite one, though, is Soul Station by Hank Mobley. It's just a great album overall. It's probably one of my favorite jazz albums, and it's one that until this series came out, this was part of the Classic Series last year. Until this album came out, I had never actually heard this one yet, but this was one that ever since I've picked this up, it's probably one of my most played jazz albums. This was originally released, decades and decades ago, and you could still probably get some older beat up copies of it, but it's having a new pressing of it definitely makes it the packaging of it's great on it. The sound quality is fantastic, and it with really kind of any Blue Note album you're gonna get just that top line sound quality. One that I was really surprised to see last year. This was originally a Record Store Day release a couple of years back, and at the time, I don't know why, for one reason, I ended up not grabbing it, and it was one of those RSD regrets I had, where I after the fact, I wanted to grab a copy of it, but they were all pretty too expensive for me to pick up off of Discogs. So surprisingly enough, I was in Target last year, and this was a Target exclusive that they did, and it's the same color as the Record Store Day release and everything, but that is Kids See Ghosts. This was Kanye West and Kid Cudi. Probably one of my favorite rap albums of the last probably 10 years. It's just an incredible, incredible album, and it's on like a translucent pink vinyl, so I think it's the same release that they did for Record Store Day, but like I said, it's one that's just I was really surprised to see it get released, and I was really happy because, of course, it was one of my RSD regrets that I had. The next one, it's another kind of rap-ish kind of album, but I didn't want to pick this up originally because how expensive it was going to be. It is a single LP, and I want to say it was list price on it was almost $50. So I know we always kind of complain about the rising cost of vinyl, and this is definitely an album that falls into that category, but when I saw it on the shelf, I couldn't pass it up on it. That, of course, is the debut album of House of Pain. Of course, everyone knows this album for Jump Around. It's the huge hit that came off of this album. But this is a really good album, start to finish. There is a couple of tracks on there I can kind of do without, but overall, it's a great album. It's probably one of the better looking albums I bought last year. I love the way the splatter turned out on it. It's kind of cool. But I hate paying that price for a reissue, but I knew that I wasn't going to get another one down the line. The next two albums is one album that I've loved for a very long time, and I never actually thought it would get reissued just because it's not the most popular album or genre. And then the second album is one that I never really knew about until it was reissued. But the first one is an album that's been one of my grails for a long time. I actually did a video about it a while back, but this is Less Than Jake Losing Streak. Just an absolutely classic ska punk album from the 90s. If you're not familiar with it, make sure you definitely check it out because it is a great album. And it just a bunch of just absolutely huge hits on here. Great songs like Automatic, Happy Man is another great track. Of course, Johnny Quest Thinks We're Sellouts. Dope Man's a great track. Just Like Frank, just from beginning to end is an absolutely fantastic album. And then the next one is an album that it was a Record Store Day release. Of course, I know who this band is. I've got their first couple of albums, and I hadn't actually listened to this album until it was released for Record Store Day. But it's Sea of Memories by Bush. And this was an album, like I said, I'm very familiar with Bush's first, at least 3 or 4 albums. But this is one that I'd never heard anything off of this until I saw it released on Record Store Day. And Bush is one of those bands I'd like to kind of have all their albums. So I grabbed this one just to kind of, because I knew it would probably be pretty hard to find later on down the line. And from the first time I spun this, it's an absolutely great, great album. I think it's probably one of the best albums that Bush has ever done. Outside of their first 2 albums, 16 Stone, Razorblade Suitcase are both incredible albums, but Sea of Memories is just behind those 2 as far as quality-wise. The last 2 albums I've got definitely kind of go along the lines of the Less Than Jake Losing Streak. They're both albums that I hoped would get reissued eventually, but I wasn't really sure because the first one was part of a box set when it was came out a couple years back, and I wasn't sure if they were going to do a single release of it. But first one is No More Tears by Ozzy. It's probably one of my, as far as Ozzy solo albums go, it's probably in my top 2 or 3. I absolutely love this album. They did a great job with it. Lemmy actually wrote quite a bit of the music on, or quite a bit of the songs on here, which maybe that's why I love it so much, because, you know, Lemmy is an incredible musician, and he did a great job on this album. And like I said, because of the Ozzy box set, I wasn't really sure if they were going to do a single reissue of that. I kind of hope so, because it was one of the few albums I wanted from that box set, and I really couldn't see spending $500 just for that one album. You know, because I've already got you know, some of his earlier stuff, and at least a lot of the big albums I really wanted from him. The last one is a soundtrack that you know, generally went for several $100s if you want an older copy of it. And I had no clue this was actually getting reissued until the record store put a video up on Friday, and they had it up on their wall. You know, I do the Tuesday new release videos, and that I missed it on all the websites I checked out. And that, of course, is the soundtrack for Dazed and Confused, one of my favorite movies of all time. And like I said, when I saw this on up on the wall on the record store's video that Friday, I was pretty excited to run out and grab a copy of it, because it's like one of my favorite movies, and it's also one of my favorite soundtracks. So, you know, definitely one of my top reissues of 2021. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Why don't you drop me a comment down below and let me know what some of your favorite reissues of last year were. You know, hopefully we'll have a same stretch of some great reissues for 2022. I know there's a couple of big ones I'd love to see. Probably the biggest off the top of my head, I'd love to see Blues Traveler 4 finally get reissued, because those reissues are going for, the last reissue is going for, you know, over $500. So hopefully it's one of the ones we'll see this year. I'm not sure. Hopefully we'll get some good stuff for Record Store Day this year also. But drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that notification bell. And that's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.